Well, hello everyone, and I'm glad to see you here enjoying your lunch. I'm Patty Ellens from Ease at Work. I'm a fitness coach and a menopause specialist. So those are my buckets that I've been dealing with, but I've been working with Ease at Work for about 5 or 6 years, doing stress reduction presentations, fitness, pretty much whatever they want from me, sometimes even cooking demonstrations, which are a load of fun. Ooh, yeah, let's keep that in mind. But today we're going to talk about stress management. Now, it's just stressful thinking about stress, right? So we're going to address that stress is a part of life, and there's no escaping that. We're going to identify what happens to our bodies when we're under stress, recognize some of the physiological signals that we get when we have stress in our bodies, and let's learn some techniques about how to deal with that, how to handle that, and also how to turn a stressful experience into something better. Okay, I'm not going to say perfect because it's never ever perfect, but it does get better. All right, so when we are experiencing stress, it kind of goes in a cycle, okay? So the green area is kind of preparing us for a stressful situation, thinking about a presentation, sometimes even getting to the airport on time. You know, that anticipation it gets you in action, it gets you ready. And then when you get to your environment, the optimum level of stress is the yellow zone. That's when you're performing, you're taking care of that situation that's underhand. What happens with stress overload, is we often become exhausted, okay? There are other reasons why that happens, but stress builds up, we don't handle it as well, we get fatigued, we might not sleep very well. And then as a situation precipitates, continues on its course, we get into the overload, the anxiety, panic, fear, overload area where we break down, and that's not where we want to be. So the body has a stress response, okay? We all know that. And so when something happens that we feel that we're under stress, the brain perceives that stress, and it's going to send signals to the adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and it's going to start putting the hormones cortisol and adrenaline into your body, okay? That's that fight, flight, or freeze kind of things that happen in our bodies. And it causes us to react or respond appropriately, fight, flight, or freeze, and we'll feel that stress, and then we'll act upon that. And that's perfectly normal, right? That's really what keeps us alive, is that having that cycle of stress. And then when the situation's over, when the Browns do pull the win out, when you get into the gate and you're ready for your plane, or when you get to vacation, then the stress level leaves, okay? It has its cycles. What happens is, when we're under stress for a continued prolonged period of time, is when it creates problems, okay? Physiological problems, problems with our bodies, lack of sleep, tension in our joints, blood sugar imbalances, thyroid issues. So women especially, be considerate of the stress levels with your thyroid and with your other hormones as well. Sleep disruption is pretty normal, but when it's continuing, you know that there's something going on, whether it's hormonal induced by cortisol or whether it's just the cortisol, okay? Because those two go hand in hand, especially during the menopause time. And slow wound healing. You know, if you get a cut or a bruise, it takes a long time for it to heal, probably because your immune system is under attack and your immune system isn't as strong when you're under stress. So all of these things come into play when we're suffering from continued prolonged stress, when we don't address it, when we're not aware of what our body's doing physically. So what we're going to learn is how to recognize that and take some time and adjust to that. And of course, the worst part about stress is the increased abdominal fat. We have our cortisol markers. Most of them are in our I don't know why God did that, but he did. So again, when we're under a lot of stress, you might feel that it's harder to manage your body fat, and it tends to deposit in the abdomen, okay? Nobody wants that, especially us strong and beautiful women and strong and beautiful men, right? I'm gonna call you beautiful anyway. Okay, so real quick, I just want you to take note. You might wanna jot down these 4 quick questions. What are my top stressors professionally? What are my top stressors personally? Do I recognize any early warning signals in my body when I have excessive stress? And what do I do when my levels of stress are high? Kind of just tuck those away, because we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But if you write those down real quickly, that would be great. So what does perception have to do with stress? Well, our perceptions are learned behaviors. They may be accurate, they may be inaccurate. Okay, what we perceive is real. Okay, when we have a challenging situation, we feel that anxiety. But what stresses you and makes you feel challenged may not be the same for me. So it's important to be respectful that our perceptions about life, whether they're accurate or not, because sometimes they come from false beliefs that we've learned over many, many years from environment or whatever, they just kind of get in the way. So sometimes our perceptions of stress or perceptions of life can cause stress. For example, I have a friend who's a parent and she hates bugs. So it's like, ooh, a bug. So what happens now, her kids, right, have learned that bugs are ooh, which they're not really, they're kind of necessary, most of them. I mean, we don't like them all, but they're there, right? So she's imposing this perception on those poor little bugs from her own learned behaviors. Not right or wrong, it's just that awareness. So how do we help ourselves when we are under stress and we have these perceptions? Well, sometimes we have certain reactions. So our perceptions create a reaction. Again, the bug thing, right? Or I don't know if any of you remember reading Blondie in the news, like the comic strip. Blondie was always on top of a chair when there was a mouse in the kitchen. I mean, that's kind of cliche, but that was her reaction to the perceived threat of a mouse in the kitchen, right? And Dad would have to come in and take care of the mouse. Nobody likes to see a mouse in their kitchen or their bathroom or scurrying around. And we do have that kind of automatic, right, response. It's pretty natural. How long do we stay in that element of stressful response is really how we handle life, okay? Which is how our perceptions and our reactions go hand in hand. Like I said, reactions tend to be involuntary, and they do correlate with how you handle stress. So this next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about where our tension is housed in our bodies. So there has been science and documentation, and the slides have the websites, but I'm not going to share them with you because you probably you won't look at it, but maybe you will, I don't know. But you have your red light and your green light areas of where you house your stress. So over time, with our perceptions that we have about certain elements of stress, certain elements of life, we have those continued reactions, right? So if you're a green light person, what it tends to say is that you will continually house your stress in your back and your shoulders, right? But what happens is those muscles will always be at attention. So they never quite relax. They're always ready for something to happen. And those are the muscles that house your stress. Those are the muscles that will move you forward in your stressful situation. Red light people tend to be hold their stress more in their jaws and in their shoulders, and also their lower back. And they might be the kind of person who has a little bit more of a timid personality, a little bit more fear. Again, something they might have learned from previous experiences, and they might feel like this, and they might withdraw from a situation, okay? So knowing a little bit about your own personality, but also recognizing where you house your stress can help you to say, okay, I think I feel a stressful situation coming on. I'm going to kind of do something to bust that stress area. Or I feel myself withdrawing from a situation. Is that my normal? How do I move through that pain, that trepidation that I'm feeling? So again, it's more of an illustration of where we house our stress and what that means about us in terms of our personality. Does anybody have like their favorite place that they store their stress? Do you want to just share it out? Shoulders and neck. Yeah. Jaw.
I can't even hold my head up. It's so bad.
Wow. So the thing is that you, ladies and gentlemen, you're aware of some of those situations. What do we do about it? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Hopefully there'll be a nugget or two that helps you through that. I also hold my breath a lot. I was doing a speech in college, and I was having so much fun. And the only criticism the teacher had for me, he's like, "You didn't breathe." It's like, oh, sorry, because I get so wrapped up, and I'm probably doing the same thing here. I'm like, that's East Coast girls talking really fast, but she's forgetting to breathe and take some time. So yeah, jaw, breathing, shoulders. Men also typically will carry a lot of stress in their calves. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why. Again, part of the back of that body, something to propel you forward. But when I do body work on clients, and other body workers have told me the same thing, is men typically have a lot of stress in their calves. So might be something to pay attention to if you have anything going on with your feet or things like that. All right, so at this point, where do you house your stress? Everybody pretty much shared that. What does this tell you about your personality? I'm not going to have you answer that question unless you want to. Does it tell you anything about your personality? Or is it just one of those things? Pretty much just one of those things, right?
I have it in multiple spots.
Right.
Yeah.
And
can you be a red and a green?
That would mean you're yellow?
Yeah.
Yes, could be. I mean, that was just a diagram. It's just and certain stressful situations may cause different parts of your body to feel that stress. When I get ready for a presentation, my body responds very differently from other things. This is like a whole different ball game for me. And it's just something that I recognize, I get used to, I prepare for it. And like I said, once I'm here in Technology Works, everything's hunky-dory. So what does it tell us about our triggers to stress? Anybody know what's like an immediate trigger to a stressful situation?
Well, like I plan events at the airport and stuff when we have like service announcements, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so usually just making sure everything's coordinated and all that kind of stuff, like the week before.
Getting all the ducks in a row.
We had, when JetBlue came here, like that day I left and went home because I couldn't hold my head up because it hurt.
Yeah.
It was like the event was over and I was like just
right.
Breathe.
Right, exactly. And sometimes you get through the event and then you just fall flat on your face because all of that you were managing, and then your body just goes boom. I think women tend to do that. We tend to push through major challenges, and when that challenge is over, it's like that's when the wheels fall off, right? So it's important to recognize that. I'm sure you guys are starting to appreciate that. So here comes the fun part. Enough about stress. We all, stress is everywhere. We're not going to get away from it. Let's talk about some of the ways that we can deal with that. Okay, so breath work is one. We're going to talk about progressive muscle relaxation. Do less. We've got bosses in the house, so we're going to talk about a more positive way to do less. Diet and exercise, those are my favorites. And of course, self-care. All of which are important. All right. Everybody take a nice deep breath. It's a little harder to do when you're eating lunch because your body wants to digest, so we don't breathe as much. But I'm glad you're here just doing this, having your lunch, relaxing, asking questions. So taking frequent breaths throughout the day is one of the best things, probably the biggest nugget that you can take away and work on daily, by the hour, by the circumstance, and keep that front and center in your mind. Breathing and breath work is really, really important. So what I'm going to teach you here is diaphragmatic breathing. Okay. So I want you to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. So feet are on the floor. And if you want to close your eyes or just downcast your eyes, you can. And I don't want you to do anything but just notice what you're noticing. Just breathe and notice what you're noticing. So what's moving more? When you take a deep breath in, is your chest expanding or is your abdomen expanding? Chest, and abdomen? When I was practicing this at home, it was just my abdomen because it was just me and the computer, but now both are going because I'm breathing a little harder because I'm feeling a little bit more stressed and I've got this energy going. Good. So what I want you to do now is try to take a deep breath in. Imagine that you're taking a deep breath in through your belly button and you want your abdomen to expand, and then when you exhale, your abdomen will soften. Okay? It's easier to practice this when you're laying down, so it's a great thing to do before bed and when you wake up in the morning. But just give it a try. So you inhale, try to feel that your belly's expanding out, and then it'll soften. Your chest may still move a little bit too. One more time, deep breath in. Did that help at all? Could you get there? A little bit? You've been eating, so that's not going to make it that easy.
I'll try it tonight.
Try it tonight. Yeah, take it home. Put that in your thinking cap and take that home when you get home. Even if you're driving in the car and you get to a traffic light, just notice what you're noticing. Okay. And again, it's not something that you have to do something about. It may be something that this is really new to you. So notice what you're noticing. Make no judgment about it. It's not right or wrong. It's what you're going through now. And as you notice it more, you'll start to put the breathing into practice. Just like there's other ways to practice. You know, the CDC says optimally we breathe in for 6 counts and out for 6 counts. Yeah, if you're a monk, right, all day long, you're not going to do that all day long. You might do it when you're meditating or when you stop from your walk outside in nature. You might stop at a park, and sit down and do some breathing and pay attention to nature and listen to the sounds. There's 4 breaths in, 7 breaths out. There's box breathing. There's all different ways of slowing down the breathing and optimizing that, because when we're not breathing optimally, again, it's going to affect our cognitive function. We won't think as clearly. And also it has an impact on our metabolism, our muscle metabolism, and our digestive system. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to be more productive while eating as well. But that is deep breathing for relaxation is one of the most, for me, in my opinion, one of the most crucial points that there is. Any questions so far? Everybody's good? I hear the crunching, it's wonderful. Okay, so progressive muscle relaxation is another technique. It's been around for about 100 years, if you can imagine. And the doctor who discovered this, Dr. Jacobson, because he was using this technique, he realized that it would help people who had high blood pressure, hypertension, insomnia, go figure, right? And ulcers. I guess that was a big thing. Does anybody still get ulcers anymore?
Yeah, I've heard someone recently,
Wow.
a friend of a friend said that a young person,
Wow.
I don't recall the age, but
Right. Yeah. So some people, our society may be starting to be still predisposed to that. So anyway, conditions that, again, as we talked about earlier, those stressors, the stressors cause our body to respond and react to protect itself. But at some point, because of the overburden of stress, the body tends to break down. And that's the scariest part about stress, is it breaks us down physically. And we only have one of these. Okay, we can go out and buy a new car, but we cannot go out and buy new bodies. So understanding this for yourself and then sharing this with your loved ones is a great way to build up the health of all the people around you. So progressive muscle relaxation, it's a squeeze, hold, and release technique, again, with breathing. So let's do some, okay? I'm gonna take my hands and I'm gonna squeeze, I'm gonna put them by my side and I'm gonna just squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Squeeze those hands into big fists. Squeeze, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, open those hands up. Do you feel the blood just rush to your fingertips? Yeah, right? So imagine if we did that to our stressed shoulders, right? Squeeze them, let's do that. Squeeze those stressed shoulders. Squeeze them to your ears. Squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Deep breath in and let it drop. Yeah. How's that? Okay, let's do our feet. I know we got shoes on, but let's do it anyway. So I'm gonna squeeze my toes, squeeze my toes, squeeze my toes, squeeze my toes inside my shoes, or if you have sandals, even better. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Take a deep breath in and relax. So that's just 3 body parts. I don't know about you, but I feel relaxed already, right? Imagine if you did that to every body part really quickly. You could whiz through in about 3 or 5 minutes, or you could make this your dedicated meditation time to take 15 or 20 minutes to do this. Think about how relaxed you would be. So progressive muscle relaxation, and I'll have my coordinators send Alyssa the form so that you can actually see the whole sheet, okay? And then you can, again, you have a tool, a reminder that you can stick on the refrigerator or in the bathroom or somewhere to do this on occasion so that you can feel more stressed or less stressed. This is the whole point. There's another thing. Has anyone ever heard of body scan? No? So John Kabat-Zinn, who started the mindfulness-based stress reduction movement back in the 80s in Massachusetts, he started this for people that were suffering from severe pain because of illness. And it's very similar to progressive muscle relaxation, except you don't contract the muscle group, you just pay attention to it. So if you Google body scan, it's about a 15 or 20, sometimes 25-minute talking meditation, and it'll tell you to place your attention on every body part, starting from your toes all the way to the tip of your head, front and back, down your arms. Very relaxing. You'll probably fall asleep doing it. And it's not supposed to be to fall asleep, but it's just one of those things that you might fall asleep doing. That's another thing that you might want to consider. Again, something to listen to, a little bit more passive, but it does place awareness. It helps you to place awareness on your body and recognize where you might have tension and where you might not. Does anybody go for massages regularly? Okay. And you go into a massage and your practitioner might ask you anything to address, and you might tell them 1 or 2 places, right? Well, lo and behold, there's always that 3rd place that you had no idea was tight, right? And that's why when you do a total body scan or a total body muscle, progressive muscle relaxation exercise, it allows the entire body, inside and out, your central nervous system, to really just kind of whoosh, calm down. And that will make you more capable and aware of maybe false beliefs, maybe limiting beliefs, maybe negative beliefs that you want to change so that you can be a stronger, better, happier person. Because at the end of the day, that's all we really want, right? Okay. All right, the do less technique. I'm going to come back to standing because I'm just more happy when I'm standing. All right, so the theory is we have a lot to do. And the problem is we sometimes think that we have to do it all at once. And then what happens? Nothing gets done, or very little. Your productivity, because you're concerned and thinking about 19 different things, your productivity will be markedly less. So here's an idea. How do we fix that? So the Pomodoro Effect. And if you Google this and you go to Amazon, you can buy yourself a little tomato timer. I just use my kitchen buzzer because I usually work from home. So here's the Pomodoro Effect. So say you have something that's really important to do. You have a proposal that you need to write, and you've been putting it off, all right? So you decide that on a particular day, a particular morning, you're going to write that proposal, come hell or high water, okay? So that's your task. And then you're going to set a timer, whether it's your watch, your kitchen timer, or something, and try to eliminate your distractions. I know things you get, your pop-ups on your phone and your computer, but you're not going to respond to those because for 20 or so minutes or 25 minutes, you're going to set that timer for a specific amount of time. You're going to focus laser on that project. And then when the buzzer goes off, you have a minute or 3 to get up, get a sip of water, maybe do a breath or 2, right, to regroup. And then you set the timer again for another set amount of time, 25, 30 minutes, whatever you want to do. And you go back to that project, okay? You cycle through this 3 or 4 times. And at the end of those 4 or 5 cycles, you reward yourself with a longer break of 5 to 15 to 30 minutes. 5 minutes is more than adequate. Refill your water bottle, go to the bathroom, get a little snack, go give your partner a kiss. From working at home, you get some perks, right? And what it does is it helps you eliminate distractions because you're zero focused on that thing. It gives you a sense of awareness of time. Because I don't know about you, but I waste a lot of time. Which is why I use this effect. I mean, I will set the kitchen buzzer for really weird numbers like 23 minutes or 52 minutes because I only want to focus on one thing. Lo and behold, the next thing you know, the buzzer's going off. But you get to look at how productive you were in that time. So it really is a way to up your productivity because as humans, we think we can multitask really well, but we don't, right? Society tells us that we have to. Our jobs tell us that we have to. Our bosses expect that we do. But as humans, we don't do it that well. So this gives you an opportunity to be your kind of human, be productive, and then you probably finish that proposal, and then you've got your next project, right? So the Pomodoro Effect, it doesn't necessarily say that you're doing less, but you're increasing your productivity. And you get to spend 5 minutes on yourself. You know, give yourself that reward of self-care, whatever it is. Going for a walk, getting outside in nature for 5 minutes is a great way to boost that feeling of energy to go back to the next project. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm in front of my computer or in front of a piece of paper trying to write something down, the thoughts don't come. But when I do something away from that area, when I'm out walking, when I'm out running, when I'm in the kitchen chopping vegetables, I get the best ideas. So sometimes getting away from that work environment, the screen thing, will actually, again, help you to increase your productivity. So just some things to think about. Nutrition. My favorite. How was lunch? Was it good? It was crunchy and smelled good too. So food is my favorite thing. To me, food is fuel. But it's also something that we are deeply connected with. We need food to live, obviously. But we have connections to food because of holidays, families, cultures, all kinds of reasons. And food can also be our enemy. When we're under stress and we're fatigued and tired, what do we go for? Junk food, carbs, right? Because the brain, it needs that energy. It's feeling that stress. And what does it need? It needs that carbs or the salt or the sugar. And sometimes it's habitual. But again, it's a biological function of our bodies are needing something, right? So how do we make it more productive? Now, I love to cook, and I have plenty of opportunity to cook. So unfortunately for me, cooking gets away in the work of my productivity sometimes, and I'll be the first to admit that. But it does provide a sense of enjoyment. Having food around, the smell of food, has a sense of enjoyment. And we probably grew up in families where, you know, dinner was ready at a certain time, and you had certain breakfast elements to go to, and you knew what you were having for lunch. So there's a healthy routine that can benefit you and decrease your stress when you know what food you're going to eat. Because what's more stressful than coming home and not knowing what you're going to eat but being starving after a busy day? Because that's really ultimately when we misstep, when we make mistakes, okay? And when we're eating mindfully, when we're eating healthy, when we're drinking plenty of fluids, we're going to feel better. We're going to make better decisions. We're going to be more productive, okay? We're going to handle that hiccup, that stressful, oh, I want this done yesterday kind of situation. And we're saying, okay, right? Because if I'm hungry, I can't concentrate. When my hunger pangs completely distract me. So that is not a good situation for me to be in. Maintaining a healthy diet is also going to keep our immune system strong. We're going to sleep better when we eat better. We're going to have a stronger immune system. We're not going to be sick or be prone to getting sicknesses as frequently because we're eating that nutrition, that healthy food, seasonal foods. And there's a lot of diets out there, but you have to do what's best for you in terms of eating when it's appropriate for you. Now, as an athlete, I eat to fuel my body. Or as a presenter, I eat to fuel my body. If I'm only going to be working at the computer most of the day, I'm still going to eat healthy, but I'm not going to eat as much. So if you think about what you're going to do for the next few hours, be prepared, prepare yourself for that. Okay, prepare yourself for that work, that stress load that you're about to embark on, and be fueled for that. Sometimes if we're tired or hungry, it's because we're dehydrated. So that's something to think about too. Always keep that bottle of water close by. And physical activity. My favorite thing. So I'll tell you a little story. Yesterday, I was in front of my computer for a big part of the day, and it was cloudy. Right? I'm not quite sure I'm ready for autumn. Definitely not ready for winter yet. So I'm at the computer, and I had a client coming into the studio at 5 o'clock. I didn't get my workout in yet, and it's like, okay, this is trouble. So I went to the studio. I have a little space. It's like 200 square feet, and I did my little workout. And just as I was finished, my client came in, and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just finishing my workout. He's like, finished? I was like, no, I finished. I did enough. I had so much energy at 5 o'clock. Normally, I'm just like, right? But that little exercise boost, it could have been 5 minutes. I could have done jumping jacks and danced around my space for a few minutes and still had the same result. But the fact that I had that opportunity to get what I know benefits me, what makes my body happy, what makes my brain happy, made me really happy. Okay. So moving the body doesn't have to be exercise, it doesn't have to be a workout. Moving the body and breathing are going to help you boost your mood and reduce anxiety. How about that? Let's put a big star by that one too, okay? And there are a lot of workout things out there. I would be careful at what you do. You can keep it really, really simple in terms of what your exercise is, but there's plenty of stuff online. Back in the day, it used to be like getting the DVDs and the stuff from the library to do the exercise. Taebo, remember that? Okay. Just turning on some music. Maybe you have kids or grandkids or something, or puppies, I don't know, and you just turn on some music and just buzz around the house and dance and kick and laugh. Laughter is so crucial to eliminating stress. Children laugh about 400 times a day. Adults might laugh 7. Ooh. 800? There you go. And if you have a friend who's usually pretty jovial and laughter and joking and this and that, and you notice that they're not laughing as much or not as jovial, they might be suffering from stress. The first thing that leaves is the laughter, is the joy, is the present moment awareness of every moment, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Okay, sometimes people get up against the wall, and what do? They laugh, or they smile and think, okay, bring it on. Here I come, right? That person, that's the green light, has those back muscles moving them forward, okay? Picking a closet or a drawer, cleaning out one drawer, spending 10 minutes cleaning out one drawer will give you such a sense of satisfaction that's going to generate that momentum to do that really important project that's waiting for you on your computer. Maybe that's what you do for that 1 or 3 or 5 minutes, is pick a work-related element to do to feel that productivity, so that you get that balance. You feel like you're taking care of the, well, not that you're home anymore because you're not, but back in 2020 when you were home, did we think about, oh, I'll go clean a drawer for 5 minutes while I'm resting from my, no, we didn't. We were like, right? So now we're all kind of looking back and saying, I don't never want that to happen again, but if it does, I'll be prepared on how I handle my stress. Okay, so that just doing something good to make you feel good about yourself is going to help you feel more productive, less stressed. Again, just one of those simple things. You guys already know this. It's just nice to have a reminder, isn't it? There's exercises to try. So if you're into yoga, you know this is child's pose, which feels really good, usually after a workout. You get to stretch all the way through your body, your lower back, your legs. And if you're in child's pose, I want you to think about that big, deep belly breath. Feel that abdomen expand as you take that deep breath in, okay? And then contract. But there's other things to do. There's mountain pose, which is just standing there being open to the universe, breathing, right? Being aware of your body in space. Tree pose, you might need some help. I work a lot with boomers and older, but all of my clients in my fitness groups, I work on balance. So tree pose is this guy, okay? And you might get a cramp if you haven't done it for a while, okay? So working on your balance is really important. You can do that while you're brushing your teeth or washing the dishes, all right? Being able to stand on one foot is really important. And you might notice one leg is stronger than the other, just because you're either left-handed or right-handed, or you might have had an injury, or you notice like, oh, why is that happening? Oh, maybe that's the third time I sprained that ankle and I'm not as strong on that leg. You just don't know, but it brings you back to that physical awareness of where you are. So a couple of little exercises to try. Again, this is what you would incorporate with some of those breathing techniques. Positive affirmations. Words have huge power, right? My father was one of cliches, and I was the youngest, so everything kind of went over my head, but my siblings were sometimes affected by some of his words. And we use words. We compare ourselves to ourselves when we were younger, right? Like I used to be able to run a mile in 8 minutes, and I'm trying to get back to that. Like, it's really hard, all right? So I compare myself to my younger self, and I think I'm not as good. Well, I'm also 40 years older than that, so I should expect to give myself a little bit of grace, right? Or we compare ourselves academically, or we might have kids who are like learning things that we could not conceive of learning when we were their age. So we compare ourselves to others. You might go to a yoga class and compare yourself to what you can do to someone else. Don't do that, okay? It's only all about you. So a lot of times we think we're not good enough, okay? Or we think we're not strong enough. And I say to you, you're stronger than you think. That's one of my favorite cliches, okay? So at the cellular level, whether you say something negatively or positively, at the cellular level in your body recognizes that. It recognizes the negativity as well as it recognizes the positivity. So if there's something on your mind or on your heart that you think of less than, I encourage you to turn that around and say, if you think that you're not good enough, to turn that around and say, I am good. Look at all the great things I've done, right? Another way to kind of counter that is, yes, you've been doing something a certain way for all these years. And in your heart of hearts and in your mind of minds, you want to change that. You want to break free from that. I use this technique, it's called up until now, and then I will say the positive thing. So think of something that you would like to change. I want you to go ahead, write it down. Up until now, or I have been such and such up until now. And then moving forward, up until now, I'm going to do this in a positive way. So, up until now, I haven't liked to cook, right? All right, so you want to change that. The other thing I like to say is, you don't have to do anything, you get to. So again, a little change on words. You don't have to exercise. You don't have, there's a lot of things you think you don't have to do, or think that you have to do, but ultimately it's a choice. A lot of our decisions are non-conscious, and we think they're not choices. We think they're facts, but they're actually choices. So if you turn that around, you can say, oh, I get to. Just little switch of the words, okay? I don't have enough time to invest in me. Here's what I say. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? I can say that now, my kids are grown. And same thing for dads and papas, okay? If papa ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So it's important to think that you matter, that there might be something that you would like to get back to doing that will make you feel more complete, more whole, more happy, okay? And that means that you might have to say something or change something in the environment, meaning your family or your home, to allow that to happen, right? And guess what? If you express yourself, you share your stress, you share your concern, you share your desire with those people around you who you love, then they'll know, they're not psychic, okay? Then now they'll know that there's something that you want to do, achieve, have fuller, richer part of your life. They're gonna say, okay, let's do it, right? Thinking that we had a problem because you were putting up the wall, but once you say something, everybody understands and can share in that solution, okay? So for every problem, there is a solution. So something to think about when it comes to taking time to speak up and stand up for yourself. And whether it's a hobby, whether it's food choices, whether it's television choices, whether it's reading material, whether it's exercise, or any of those things, where you spend time as a family, it's important to express that and to share that out. So positive affirmations, I strongly, I use them a lot myself, and there's tons of sites out there that can help build that. Again, you can Google positive affirmations and do a listening activity, maybe while you're walking or something, to do a listening activity. Just if you know that you need that, have it sink in, and you might think, oh, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. But if you do it, what goes in will come back out again, okay? So I encourage you to, if it's something to do, to give it time, give it a month or 3 weeks or 270 days, however many days it takes to develop a good habit. It depends how strong the opposition to that habit is, as how long that habit will take to recreate. How many years have you invested in a particular habit that no longer serves you, right? It might take longer than 3 weeks to fix that. Be patient with that. It'll take as long as it's supposed to take. And I was talking about this in the earlier slides, scanning for the positive. So again, when you have something that you want to express, to share it, because it's going to be easier to handle and solve a problem when you have other people understanding what the problem is and being able to share that with you. Okay, kind of like food, like cooking. So say mealtime's a problem, you might have some young adults who are home and can do some kitchen prep for you. Or you might have a sibling who loves to cook. Well, maybe they'll cook for you. Maybe if it's just one meal a week. But there's a solution to everything. So when you talk about your problem, when you think you have something that's stressful, it's better out than in, okay? You want to be able to share that with other people so that you can focus on the good. So when you're in the car or anywhere, and you might be stuck in traffic, I look around. I'm always looking around in the car, except when I'm on the highway. But if I'm driving along and I see, some grandparents playing with their grandkids, it makes me smile. When I get to a traffic light and I feel like I've been rushing, and I start to get angry at the driver in front of me, maybe because they're doing something stupid, that's when I'll start to breathe. It's like, okay, that car's there for a reason, slowing me down so that I can take that breath. There's good in everything. Sometimes it's hard to see that, and we live in a country, fortunately, that we don't have to fight for certain freedoms, but there is good in everything. So again, if you go into a situation with that mindset, chances are you're going to come out with some kind of result that you didn't expect, which is a beautiful thing. All right. And we can retrain our brain. We can. Neuroplasticity. We are not fixed. We are not stuck. This is not the way it has to be. And I'm sure you've been reading about that as well. So it's not a matter of how long it will take, but how much we can change. And again, if you are working on developing your growth mindset and being open to experiences and open to new things, you'll see growth in yourself in a lot of different ways. Neuroplasticity is how we learn. Okay, what we've learned to keep certain patterns. Our bodies, as humans, we learn certain patterns to make other things easier to do. So we learn how to do easy things so that we can do the difficult things. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. But there might be some things that we've learned that we want to let go of. So it might take working with professionals who are skilled at helping you work through certain rewirings that you want to work through. You might read a lot of self-help books. They'll help. But it's, again, how much you invest in your self-care, which is what I call this, is what kind of results that you're going to get. You'll start to understand that your stress is not a reaction, it's a response. Like how you respond to something is much more positive than how you react to something. And again, that's a learned behavior. It might be a learned rewiring behavior, okay? So going eek at the mouse and the bugs, you might learn to say, oh, there's a mouse and a bug. Get the can of spray or, sweep it out the door. If there's something that makes you unhappy about how you respond, how you react to things, you can learn to respond to it differently. And that's what the rewiring patterns are all about. Okay. Also, if you know that there are certain stressful situations, or you know that you understand that you have a certain response to a stressful situation, you can prepare for that. You can be in that green zone thinking about adapting to the stress that's coming. Remember the green zone from the first slide? So you're preparing for that. You're kind of sitting there waiting for things to happen until the stressful thing happens. It doesn't have to be that stressful if your preparation is different going into a stressful situation. It may work, it may not. Every situation is different. Everybody is different. Every body is different as well. Okay? So you can think about how you can prime yourself to prepare for that. So, if all else fails, you have this fabulous nugget-filled presentation to take away with you. But if that is not enough for you, then there are coaches and counselors who work through Ease at Work, which, because you're part of this presentation, you know that you have access to that. So these are the phone numbers that you can use to call and talk to someone who may guide you to help you with your stress reduction, help you with your nutrition, help you with your fitness, help you with smoking cessation. These services are provided for you and your family members. So, and if you didn't know that now, wow, isn't that cool? Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Does anybody have any questions? Are you overwhelmed? I hope not. I didn't want to stress you out. What was your favorite nugget? Everybody, if you can think about what your favorite thing, what you know you're going to go away with today.
The clenching of the fist and then the feet. So-
Progressive muscle relaxation.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that that gets sent to you. Scan for the positive. Yeah. There's this, I'm a silver lining girl. I'm a glass always half full girl, never half empty, always half full. That's just kind of how I'm wired, except when it gets cloudy. So I have to build myself up to be a winter warrior. So I don't know if you're like me, but I tell myself I'm a winter warrior. Boots, coat, hat, gloves. Okay, I had a client who said, there's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing. So I think it comes from Scandinavia somewhere, which you would expect that, right? Anybody else have anything they want to share or ask? We're all good?
I need to work on the
Awesome.
fitness.
Hmm?
I need to work on the fitness kind of stuff and try to get
You don't need to do anything you want to.
I want to.
Because, I want to because. And then it's up to you to fill in that because blank.
Can I share a tip?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I had a massage and I hold tension in my shoulders. She was like, do you mind if I massage your chest? And I was like, okay. And I couldn't get over how good it felt. And so she shared with me afterwards, when like I have the tension, to go to a door frame and just put your arms out and just let yourself fall forward and stretch this out.
Absolutely.
And so you go here, you go up, and you go down, and just stretch that out for like 10, 15 seconds.
Yep.
And it makes your back feel better and the neck feel better.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have up here, there's 2 points, and if anybody does EFT or other things, EFT meaning, I can't remember what it stands for, but tapping, right? There's 2 points here that my chiropractor plays with, and they are this opens up your breathing. So I've massaged clients here and they're like, wow, why am I so sore there? Well, you're holding a lot of tension there. You're not breathing right. Okay. So if you look, I think it's K27. If you go to, Google Bodywork and look, go to EFT, I mean, you'll see a lot of different places where you can do tapping exercises that help reduce stress. And that's a whole nother conversation. But right here, again, is where we hold, like if we're doing this, these muscles don't get to do anything and these muscles are in tension the whole time. So by opening that up, oh yeah, good point. What's your name?
Michelle.
Michelle, you just shared a golden nugget with all your colleagues here.
It's so helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus I want all my coworkers, a lot of these work in the same office as me, so when they see me doing that.
They know. It's a signal. It's time to get the jokes out for her when she's doing that, okay? Yeah, that's really important. And just being aware, like the first step is awareness. The next step is, I want to do something about this. And you ask yourself, why, number one, because you want to know exactly why. There's got to be a really deep reason why you want to fix something or be better at something. And then you start to look for solutions. And the solutions will come. And that's what awareness does. That's what being aware of what your body's going through will help you understand moving forward, is that awareness. And it starts with breathing. Go figure. Thank you, God, for making us breathe, because if we didn't, we'd all be dead. Right? Yeah. And helping our jaws and helping our neck and our shoulders, abdomen, lower back. There's trigger points in your ears as well. You can pull on your ears sometimes and just kind of break some of the stress. The vagus nerve is down in here, underneath your ears. So if massaging around the plates in your head, or go to a chiropractor or a good massage therapist and get, head work, sacral cranial work. There's lots of different things that you can do. Going out to just dance around in the forest as well. Go hug a tree. Get ground. Whatever you need to do to get grounded is really important. So, awesome. Well, thanks, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate that. My pleasure. Woohoo! All right.